In this episode of OG 55, we have a lot to discuss today. We're going to do a news roundup, basically. We're talking about Barbara Boza leaving Disney Imagineering. We're going to talk about a possible Mandalorian coaster coming to Paris. We're going to talk about Japan, Tokyo, Disney with their kind of this reimagined Space Mountain. We have a name for it, we believe. So we have a lot to discuss today. We got Michael Webba. We got the Italiano with me today. Up next on OG 55. Welcome aboard, everybody, to another episode of OG 55. I am joined by these sexy, fine gentlemen today. We have it basically, yeah, exactly, George, exactly. Look at you. How long did that beard take you to grow? Maybe like 10 minutes?
But yeah, basically. It's growing now as we speak.
Exactly.
I'm like a walking chia pet.
It's like if we were to do like a time lapse, it would just be like, it's great. It's great. But we have kind of like a news roundup basically today, kind of style show where we're going to go over a few stories from the past like week or so. But before we do that, I want to introduce my fantastic panel. We got the Italiano, host of our Walt Disney World show here on the channel, George. If you could let everybody home know where they can find you on social media, sir.
Absolutely. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You could also find me on Instagram.
Whoa, watch your mouth, young man. Watch your mouth.
Oh, gee, man, come on. Like, what the...
I was kidding.
What the heck? The one time I keep it rated G.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm
That's
kidding.
awesome.
Go ahead,
That's
brother.
funny.
Go ahead, brother.
It's like no. At first, I thought did I press something? Did I hit something? I'm like, oh, he's gonna have to edit that out. You can also find me on Instagram under the Disney Italiano, and of course, you'll find me here on my home base at Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
There he is, the Joe Pesci.
That's hilarious.
the Joe Pesci of Disney YouTube right here, the Italiano. And down below, we have the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, Mr. Michael Webba in the house. Ebba, always good to have you, brother.
Oh, gee, thank you so much for having me on again. As always, I appreciate it. As always, and very much. And I love all you guys and you people out there.
Hard hands for everybody. And if you could, I know it is kind of. Well, here we can do this. There you go. Emma, did I make that look easy? There we go. But Emma, if you can let everybody at home know where they can find you on social media, sir.
Of course, you can find me on social media. You can find me on Instagram, Michael Webba, Twitter /X at Michael Webba 1991, and you can find me here on OG 55, where sometimes I gotta swing out to save the city, but I'll be back. Don't you worry.
Exactly. And we do have a little bit of potential Spider-Man news in this mix today, so it's kind of interesting and very on theme for an Ebba show. Let's go ahead and dive into the topics at hand. Okay, here we go. So this is from Ashley Carter. She's a journalist, covers a lot of theme parks and what have you. Friend of the channel, absolutely. Ashley here says, just in, Barbara Boza, president of Walt Disney Imagineering, has announced she is stepping down. Boza joined Disney in 2020 and was named president of WDI in 2021. In an Instagram post, Boza said WDI will be, quote, in excellent hands under the chief creative officer, Bruce Vaughn. George, thoughts on this? What do you think, brother?
It doesn't really surprise me, but I mean, nothing against Barbara Boza, not saying, I'm for sure she's a wonderful businesswoman, her rapport, with, working in these kind of companies. And I mean, that's one hell of a thing to put on your resume, to be president of Walt Disney Imagineering.
Absolutely.
But I feel like that she was put in the position just to kind of get through like a period of time, like where, certain things were going on, just to kind of get through, what have you. I don't necessarily think, and maybe they might have brought that up to her in time, like this is not going to be a permanent thing, once we get things kind of up and running. And even to Vaughn stepping in, we're not 100% sure if he's even going to be the permanent president. We may not even get another president again. It may just be kind of like, moving on. Although I will say Vaughn would be perfect to be president of WDI if they make that decision.
It's looking like it's going to be Vaughn. And I had a feeling too, like when they brought Vaughn in, it just kind of felt like she was kind of like on borrowed time with the company. You know what I'm saying? It really did. Now, here's the thing too, that's funny. A lot of fans were not a fan of Barbara Boza because she came from Gensler, right? The architecture firm. And which is interesting, which is fine. You don't like Gensler, there's no problem. But it's interesting because Universal is like tripling down on Gensler. They're actually heavily involved in the new Texas park they're building, the kiddie park, right?
Right.
It's kind of interesting how Disney sort of, at least a little bit here with this move, separating themselves from the Gensler folks, and Universal is kind of going all in with it. In terms of Boza herself, though, she wasn't in there long enough for me to really love or hate her, to be honest with you. A lot of people on social media are kind of making all these assumptions that, well, she was fired because of Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Like, what evidence do you have of that? And just because the timing is like, okay, yeah, she was there with Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Absolutely. She was also there for the Arendelle Frozen thing. That's amazing. She was also there for Zootopia in Shanghai, which was amazing. She was also there for Tokyo Disney Springs in Tokyo, which looks fucking amazing. So it's like, you conveniently ignore all that stuff and you just go to Tiana and say, well, that's why she got fired, because Tiana must suck. I don't know. It's a stretch for me. Yeah. If there's evidence, if there's actual evidence and not just fan like headcanon that she got fired because of Tiana's, I'm open to listen. I'm open to hearing it, but I haven't heard anything. And again, I'm not saying Tiana's is going to be spectacular. I don't know yet. I mean, nobody really does, but I'm optimistic. But I mean, to kind of make that assumption that like it was because of that, I don't know. I think people are kind of crafting their own kind of talking points here a lot with this. But and again, I'm not a huge. I don't really have any skin in the game with her. I don't love her. I don't dislike her. She wasn't really there that long to really make a passionate opinion either way. In my opinion, she kind of came in the middle of a lot of this stuff. But Ebba, what are your thoughts on her taking on her leaving and Vaughn kind of stepping it up?
Right. So like you, I don't really have any investment in her. That's clearly a very short time. And I think what a lot of the criticisms that are coming from people are because, there's a lot of, like you said, there's a lot of assumptions going around. But we have to remember, like, the Disney brand, the Disney parks isn't just the United States. It's China, Tokyo, it's all these other parks, and when people too are kind of complaining about Walt Disney Imagineering, they're building amazing stuff, just not here. They're building amazing stuff like in those other countries. So clearly we can see the quality and amazing work they're doing, and that's and she's ahead of that. Yeah, I mean that's amazing work. So, but I don't have any personal investment into her. I don't know her, like her personal life or really her backstory or anything. So I don't have any skin in the game to make any comments. I'm always, it's not ever cool to see someone's job to go. I don't know if this is like a mutual thing or not. So I do wish her the best of luck or wherever she goes. And if she led this team Imagineers to create those awesome things, then I'm pretty sure she'll do well in whatever other company she goes to.
Yeah, and I have a feeling, I'm telling you, if we're gonna get a full blown, Pandora land, which was implied by Bob Iger, I'm telling you, I wouldn't be surprised if we see some superstars come back to Imagineering like Joe Rohde. You know what I'm saying? I think that's a possibility. Especially with Bruce Vaughn now kind of running the ship. I wouldn't put it past it. I really, really wouldn't. A lot of people say, oh, well, Joe Rohde's retired. Well, so was Bob Iger. Look what happened.
Right, exactly. And like you can pull people out of retirement, but it has to be the right circumstance, maybe the right financial, fling there you got.
Exactly. The money's got to be there. And another example of pulling people out of retirement was Alan Horn. He wanted to retire and Bob Iger all but begged him to come on to Disney, and he ran the studio division for a long time. So it's like, yeah, Rohde's retired. He's not like elderly. He's not in his 90s, y'all. Like he can come back and probably handle it. What do you think, George?
Yeah, I definitely think. I think the startup of bringing Bruce Vaughn back, sort of kind of like as a consultant type thing to kind of be the chief, and then like chief creative officer, and now stepping into the role, to kind of run the whole WDI division, I think is the best route to go. When you have somebody in that kind of format that was part of the company for so long, and you're a creative that way, and how, to form something in the way of storytelling, the way Vaughn did for many, many years. And I think to lead by example with all the current Imagineers, to kind of show them the way, because they got a lot of newbies, in WDI, and maybe some of them are a little bit more greenhorn than others of not really knowing the ropes, because they're coming from many different other companies, that someone like Vaughn can really kind of, produce out his knowledge of working in the company for so many years. And that way it can kind of latch on to these newbies, and that's better for WDI moving down the road, because then they can pass it on to newer people coming on board. I think if you have that center core of someone that was part of the original legacy, it really works well. And I do think it is potential to bring back some familiar faces such as Joe Rohde.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. I could definitely see Joe Rohde being interested if they were going to do another Pandora, because that was kind of his baby,
I'm telling you right now, this was my prediction. I'm going to stick forward. And please, everyone out there listening, do not hold me to it. I don't know if Disney has this planned, but I think that would be so freaking awesome that if we were to be at D23 and they just happen to bring up Avatar, they happen to bring up Pandora, they kind of do like this kind of run-on sarcastic joke, like with maybe Josh D'Amaro and maybe another Imagineer, and saying, you know what, this just doesn't feel right. Joe Rohde brought so much to the table when he put Pandora in Animal Kingdom. It just wouldn't be the same without him. I wish that we had him on board for this project. And then from like right-hand stage or left-hand stage, out walks Joe Rohde. Oh man, I can imagine the eruption of applause and screams coming from us diehard Disney fans if that were to happen. That would be so freaking awesome.
Well, George, you know what? I'm definitely going to hold you to that. I mean, George, if that doesn't happen, you're going to buy me an alcoholic drink, man.
Awesome.
But yeah, no, I mean, I because like I said in one of the previous videos, I definitely think that's a possibility. I mean, there's no reason why he can't come out of retirement for you. I mean, again, like the opportunity, the kind of incentives have to be there for him to come back, or really any other older head, Walt Disney Imagineer coming back, right? Because like you were saying, George, I feel like a lot of these newer Imagineers, because here's the thing: everybody in any job starts off new, right? Like maybe you take classes and you go to school, whatever, you learn stuff, but then there's the actual practicality of actually doing the job, right? And I feel like, and yeah, you guys here or people at home can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like a lot of that knowledge has not really been passed down, George, like what you were saying, to like the newer guys. So I think they really need a good person to guide them along the way, to go on the journey with them, right? And to get them out of this blue sky crap and actually get good ideas to start making stuff.
Yeah, I would agree and kind of disagree with that. I mean, I think that it's good though to have these veterans kind of come in and kind of like be there to guide the ship. But like, look at the stuff that they're doing though. The new bunch of Imagineers with like Fantasy Springs and like Arendelle and things like that. I mean, that's pretty top notch stuff,
Well, and that's what I was saying. That's what I'm saying about the lady that's leaving. That's why I'm not dissing her or anything, because if she's overseeing that, then obviously they're doing a great job. But yeah,
yeah.
Let me rephrase. It's good to have these veteran Imagineers like Bruce Vaughn and Joe Rohde be for the WDI Imagineering teams that are doing the domestic parks.
Right. Yeah. Oh, we need all the help we can get out here. The international parks are.
Yeah, they're banging right now. The domestic parks need it, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot like circling around, with a lot of talks of what potentially is even still coming to the international parks, for which, here they keep announcing stuff over here. Well, Well, I shouldn't say announcing stuff, but there's a lot of talk, a lot of smoke. There's probably fire, a lot of chatter.
A lot of chatter. Star Wars Land with a Mandalorian coaster rumored for Disneyland Paris. This is from Tom Bricker. Tom Bricker is awesome, by the way. Everyone should follow him on Twitter. But it says here, new rumors point to a Star Wars mini land. Now that's funny because a lot of people were kind of saying that Star Wars was not going to come to Paris.
Mhm.
That's fascinating. They are going with Star Wars, and I remember all the narratives about how Star Wars is a dead franchise and Paris doesn't want it because it's a dead franchise. Here we go. We got Star Wars maybe coming to Paris, but new rumors point to a Star Wars mini land featuring a Mandalorian and Baby Yoda roller coaster behind Discoveryland, as well as a Fantasyland expansion in Disneyland Paris. This post breaks down the rumor, whether it makes any sense, and offers our commentary about whether this would be a good idea or bad idea for DLP. Now, in my opinion, I love this idea. I think that they should be making Mandalorian and Grogu attractions. This Mando and Grogu by far, I think, have been the most successful element of Disney's Star Wars. I know the sequel trilogy made billions of dollars, and it did. Each movie did make a lot of money, but I don't think it ever got to that cultural phenomenon kind of status that you see here with Grogu and Mando. This was a cultural obsession, when this thing came out in 2019. This is I think, in my opinion, and it's subjective, but I think this is their most successful IP with Star Wars. It makes sense to lean in on that. You know what I'm saying? And it gives us a little bit of variety, right? You build a mini land more based on the Mandoverse. That's kind of what fans want, don't we? We want to have, maybe the sequel trilogy over in the States. We can have, Mandoverse over here in Paris. Mix it up. Star Wars is a big, big IP. Why not have various elements of the universe, at their parks? I think it's a great idea. I mean, we'll see what happens. Again, this is a rumor, but what do you think, George?
I think anything with the Mandalorian and Grogu would be phenomenal. And I think that kind of tie into a type of roller coaster style attraction, I think would be all the much sweeter. But I do think, I think it's great for Paris because as you mentioned, OG, it's like, a lot of people are saying, it's dead in the water. Paris doesn't want anything to do with Star Wars. Well, I think honestly, being that, again, now this is just rumors, this isn't confirmed by Disney, right. They're just in talks. But I mean, if the movie of The Mandalorian is as big as we're all anticipating on the back of this being rumors, I think they may be waiting to see that as well with the success of that. And honestly, I think this kind of roller coaster would kind of fall into the pattern that Tron did with Shanghai. I think that it would be so popular over international that they would bring some form of it to the domestic parks.
It's possible, and I'm curious. Yeah, it's possible. What do you think? You support this idea of a Mando coaster? Would you be cool with this, or?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, here's the thing. I think out of really a lot of the Disney parks, I think Paris kind of gets I think Paris kind of gets the back burner of things. So I'm really happy because this is a rumor, right? Or is this actually happening? Sorry.
This is a rumor right now. They didn't officially confirm it.
Okay, so if this is actually happening, that'd be freaking awesome. I really like the idea. And I think people, if it's, here's the thing, I would be happy, right? Because you're getting Mandalorian Grogu, like Odie said, it's a big cultural phenomenon with that, right? Not like the sequel trilogy. Right. And people saying, Star Wars is dead. I mean, it's not, but fans like to say that stuff. But
it's hibernating. I like to call it hibernating, right? It's definitely not living up to what it could be, for sure.
Oh,
There's
exactly.
Yeah, but dude, it's not, like, I agree with you, Ebba. It's not dead. And there are certain franchises that will really never die, right? I think Star Wars is one that will always live on, no matter what is going on, really. It's big enough. It can survive anything. Harry Potter's another one. You know what I'm saying? Even the Marvel stuff, it doesn't really matter. If the MCU stopped making movies tomorrow, these characters, Spider-Man and Iron Man, they would still be popular. They've been around forever, 80 years, I think, or something like that, right?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, I mean, this sounds awesome. If I was in Paris, like, or for someone who lived over there, I'd be excited. I'm like, yeah, bring Mando and Grogu over here. Let's get some Star Wars stuff. And this could actually maybe they might one day get their own Star Wars land. who knows? You know, it could be like maybe it's not tied to a timeline, and they can actually have Darth Vader, Darth Maul, the clone troopers and stuff in this kind of newer Star Wars area, probably. So who knows? I mean, but I think it's really exciting.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you know, yeah, it's being rumored as a mini land. So if it's a
Okay.
mini land, it might be like a Mando land basically with maybe just one ride probably, you know, or
Okay.
maybe they have another small one, who knows, you know, we don't really know, but that's interesting. And it'll go behind Discovery Land, which is, George, you've been screaming from the rooftops. You've been wanting Discovery Land to come here to the States.
I've been really wanting like a Discovery type of base, kind of in a way to kind of like take the place of Tomorrowland, because I feel like that Discovery is more evergreen than a Tomorrow in a sense, because it seems like a Tomorrow is never really completed. So by the time they complete something in a land, we get the next generation of a Tomorrow.
That's a good point. That's a really good point, because discoveries, you know, you can always have new discoveries, whether it's today, tomorrow, you know, what have you. But with the tomorrow is eventually going to be today.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and it's hard to keep up with Tomorrow, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, but especially in a theme park space, because by the time you start to build it, you know, is it outdated already? You have to go in a more fantasy direction.
yeah.
And it can be maybe more science, you know, like more like, like science fiction or something, or like what George is saying, like more Discovery Land. But you can't go like when Walt envisioned Tomorrowland, it was more like a literal interpretation of what could be the future. Those days are dead, and those days have been dead for a long time.
Yeah.
You know, but our next news story, breaking. New attraction announced for Shanghai Disneyland, possibly a roller coaster. Okay. Now this is interesting too, because Paris is getting rumors of a Mando coaster. Shanghai's getting rumors of a coaster. That's kind of interesting, right? So it's like weird. So it says here that the Shanghai Disney Resort has announced to shareholders that they are building another new attraction on the heels of their recently finished Utopia Land, and amidst the construction of their third resort hotel. Now the rumor on this attraction is that it will be Spider-Man themed. That would be interesting. I'm open to it. You know, look, I hope we don't get a Spider-Man themed coaster, because we have way too much Spider-Man already in Avengers Campus, out here in California, at least, you know, I don't know. It's like Avengers Campus is basically Spidey Land, you know, I think.
Honestly,
there's not much diversity.
I think honestly for Spider-Man's storyline and the way his character is kind of represented, it's better to have a very like enthralling dark ride attraction. You know, I think like a typical like roller coaster, I don't think would fit well. With Mandalorian, I can kind of understand that, because you get that like with the flying in space and everything, where with Spider-Man, he's more crawling and swinging and what have you. Like I don't get the correlation for the roller coaster. But I do think it was interesting, because we were going to talk about this, which we did on a previous video. We were talking about Disneyland Forward, that you had mentioned, OG, that they actually mentioned this kind of breaking news type of rumor that Shanghai was getting a roller coaster prior to the first meeting for the vote for the commission team.
Right. Yeah,
so I thought that was kind of interesting.
Right. And actually, this shout out to Belle on Twitter, because she actually, this was kind of her theory, and I think she might have been onto something. This Shanghai coaster was announced the night before the vote in Anaheim, and her theory was it was Disney putting pressure on the city to approve it. Right. Honestly, that's a solid theory. That's a solid theory, and that might have been a little bit of a little 4D chess, a little bit of a power play there by Disney. Basically, a wink and a nod showing Anaheim, hey, look, you know what? We have options. You know, we don't have to build something in California. We can do it over here in Shanghai. We can do it elsewhere. You know what I'm saying? We got money. Is it going to be in your backyard though? And that might have been the case. And again, that was just her theory, but I think it was a solid one and something at least worth bringing up. You know. But what do you think? What do you think, Ebba? Now, like, you know, look, if they want to build a Spider-Man attraction in California, a coaster, the only way I'm going to be okay with it is if, like, it's Ebba. Like, if we get an animatronic Ebba, I'm good. But outside of that, I don't want it. I don't want it. But what do you think about this? Like a Spider-Man coaster in Shanghai.
Well, OG, you know what? On next month, I'll go to the city council myself and have them approve for a Spider-Man Webba attraction.
There we go. There we go.
So,
Absolutely.
so first of all, I would say I just love that castle. That castle looks so cool. But yeah, so okay, so now we're on to another roller coaster, right? And it's funny because I was just thinking, like, how we give kind of what kind of crap to Universal about always the coasters, and now we got like two
True.
possible coasters in a row here,
True.
right? But yeah, I'm with George. Like, I don't. Like, okay, so here's the thing: you're having a second. If this is true, right? If they do this, you're having a second go around with the Spider-Man attraction. One is like this toaster shooting attraction, and then this other one is the coaster. Like, I'm sorry, but Spider-Man, he doesn't fit a coaster theme, and it's like, guys, come on. If you're gonna do Spider-Man, it has to live up because people, like I said, they are going to compare it. They're going to to compare it. I mean, maybe not because it's a coaster, but it's like twice now. These are going to have a Spider-Man attraction where it's not as great as the one in Islands of Adventure.
Right.
So I don't know what their deal is with Spider-Man. I mean, they have a bunch of other characters they can use because Spider-Man isn't even fully theirs for under Disney.
From what I understand, Spider-Man is a merch king. He moves a lot of merch. And that's why I think Chapek really pushed that character to get the attraction in Avengers Campus, because it moves a lot of merchandise.
And that would have been fine, but to Universal's credit, like, they did Spider-Man well at Islands of Adventure. I think if Disney would have taken that kind of approach with it doesn't have to be, the same storyline or even the same ride system, but if they did something immersive with Spider-Man, it definitely could have been a home run. And that's what I thought with that swinging pendulum. I thought for sure they were going to incorporate some sort of notion with Spider-Man.
I have an idea for you guys. Let me know what you guys think about this, right? You can do the Cosmic Rewind ride system, but slow it down, because Spider-Man, maybe you don't want it as intense and crazy, but that ride system where the vehicles turn to face something, you can even add an interactive element to it where you can shoot webs. But I think that kind of ride system might work well with Spider-Man, because you're flying, you can fly through the city, and then it can turn and face something, and you can kind of shoot at it. It can turn this way, you can shoot at it, but you'd have to slow it down. It couldn't be the intensity that it's at right now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that would have worked better with Web Slingers. Like if Web Slingers would have been the same type of storyline and with that Cosmic Rewind ride system. Although I would say I would like to battle like real true like Spider-Man Marvel villains than these fucking Toys R Us plastic spider bots. It's like I'd like have something of like a threat to us, than these. Yeah. But again, the spider bots are used as a kind of like a merch thing. It's like you could buy the spider bots, you could buy the the adapters to it to like help out with your score, which I don't even know why, because you don't even know what the hell you're hitting anyway. So it's like
I have no idea. I like, for me, I'm just shooting and I'm just hoping that I get something.
But
yeah.
Oh, sorry, but as far as like just an attraction goes, yes, I feel like the Cosmic Rewind ride system aspect would work better for web slingers. But if you're just doing like a straight attraction where it's not really like interactive, I would have went the route of how they did Forbidden Journey for Harry.
I was about to say that. I was just about to say that. Yes, I think that would be awesome. And then for Cosmic Rewind, that should be the Mandalorian attraction. Do it like that style.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
The Kuka arm technology that Universal uses for Forbidden Journey, that would be really cool. Like if you can use that, and you can have your interactive element, Disney, if you want the shooting, that's cool. Because that ride goes slow enough where you can definitely hit targets, and that would be dope, dude.
Yeah, and on that ride too, because they make it feel like you're kind of flying, right? Like throughout the ride. And Spider-Man, he's swinging through like the city, so you kind of go through like, shoot like enemies or whatever.
Well, yeah, and the cool thing too is with the Kuka arm, what you could do is you can have Spider-Man, like say, shoot a web at your vehicle and pull your vehicle closer to him. And like like say, or let's say you drop or something, and we can web you and pull you back up again. The Kuka arm has so many possibilities that you can kind of mess with. Mm-hmm. I mean, that would be amazing. Now, I don't know if Disney can utilize it because the patents. I don't know if Universal has an exclusivity clause on there where they can only use it. Maybe Disney would have to alter it to some degree. But dang, that'd be dope, dude. That would be really, really cool. Spider-Man is a great franchise. There's so many things you can do with it. I just feel like Web Slingers was so uninspired and kind of lazy, you know?
Yeah, no, it was. And the great thing about the Kugo arm for Harry Potter is it gets you up close to the action. You know,
Oh,
like
yeah.
I don't think I've ever been on an attraction, guys, where like I'm like this is the prop and I'm like this, like to it, right? And so, you know.
Exactly. And I just want to say,
poor cat.
shout out to Ebba's cat. Shout out to Ebba's cat. Absolutely. And Ebba's cat does have X. You know, make sure you follow the cat on X. No, just kidding. Oh, what a cutie! What a little cutie. I love dogs. I love cats. I'm an animal person for sure. But our next topic comes from MickeyBlog.com, not to be confused with Blog Mickey. This is Mickey Blog. Disney has been awarded a patent for a drone that looks like suspiciously like Grogu. His little carriage, right? What they call the prom. But it says here, the Walt Disney Company has filed a patent for a drone that looks suspiciously familiar. The patent, which is technically for an airframe of a volatile body, end quote, was originally filed in December of 2020 and granted on February 13th, 2024. So it does look like Grogu's little basket thing.
Wow, 4 years later. Jeez.
It takes a while, right? It says here the patent says, quote, systems, methods, and apparatuses for an airframe of a volatile body are present herein. I'm not going to read this. I'll link it down below. This is all patent mumbo jumbo. I'm not going to read it. But basically, it's for Baby Grogu. And look, I mean, I don't get too excited over patents because a lot of times we see these patents come out and nothing ever comes of them.
Look at the swinging pendulum thing. Like we thought it was going to be for something, and
exactly.
It's
if you think the Daddy Josh maybe what if stuff is annoying, the patent thing, in my opinion, is even more annoying because you see all these patents come out and nothing ever happens. But with this, because Grogu is just a money making machine, and we're hearing rumors of a Mando coaster coming to Paris, things like that. I wouldn't be surprised if this is for some sort of Grogu animatronic or whatever. You know, it's probably going to happen eventually. You know, I don't know. I think it's pretty cool. I'm all for it. Like I said, I'm completely supportive of this franchise just totally invading the parks.
Okay, now really quick, is this saying as far as it's going to be like one type of device, or is it saying like it's a whole system of drones, but it just happens to resemble Grogu's prom?
We don't know that.
So they didn't give like any kind of specifics.
No, it looks like Grogu's thing. Okay. And fans are looking at that going, okay, it's probably for a Grogu, which it probably is. It looks like it. They're rumored to building a Mando coaster. He's the hottest thing in Star Wars right now out of their whole roster. You know. Yeah, so it's most likely a Grogu thing. Probably to have a little animatronic Grogu flying around when you're in the dark ride or in the coaster or something like that, which I am all for that. I would love it. And that anything with these guys in it, like Grogu and Mando, I'm telling you, it's gonna be a huge hit.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I mean, you see these guys when they walk around Galaxy's Edge, it's like you think Elvis came back from the dead. It's like people are climbing over each other to take a picture with both of them.
Which they did the same for Spider-Man on the cruise ship, if you remember that too.
They did. Oh, and Ebba remembers that because he's Spider-Man. He was there.
Of course. He's still got the fingernail marks on his back.
I'm telling you, the ladies. All right, our last and final story of this episode is Space Mountain in Tokyo. Now, this is from our friends over at Boardwalk Times. They do fantastic work over there. Make sure you check them out.
This episode, we traveled all over the place on this one. We hit every continent in the Disney Internationals.
well, see, that's because we got OG special access.
Yeah, exactly. I got that sweet special access, boy. I'm telling you, man, those brunches at Jeffrey's in Malibu with Iger have really paid off. They
There you
really
go.
paid off.
I tell you,
You know,
you upgraded from mine. We only get to go to Beverly Hills.
money, man. You gotta step up, George. Actually, I gotta actually call Iger because you know, because I'm gonna be a little late. He might have to order my usual for me. You know, the Pellegrino with the slice of lemon. I'm gonna have to tell him to put that in before I get there. So we'll see. I gotta call him later. But anyway. Anyway, we got Boardwalk Times here. Disney has filed a trademark for quote Space Mountain Earthrise end quote in Japan. Leave it to Japan to come up with the most badass fucking name ever. I love that. This could be the new name of the reimagined Space Mountain attraction scheduled to open in 2027. Space Mountain Earthrise. I don't know, man. I really like that name. What are your thoughts on this, George?
Absolutely. Yeah, as you said, leave it to Japan. Like they know how to do it. Like just aesthetically of how they're making this land look is so appeasing. It's so like it draws you in. It's like there could just Space Mountain could be the only attraction in that land, but just everything else around it, it's like it'll just invite you in. It's like I want to know more aesthetically of the attraction of how they're changing the external as well as the internal is very interesting, and I love that the newer kind of style like to it. And uh, before you had showed like a split screen of like how it looked in the day and how it looked at night, and I tell you what, they both looked very different, but yet they both were very they're both very cool looking. And Michael had mentioned earlier, like that's something that Disney does well is like with their lighting and their projection mapping kind of thing. And this, yeah, exactly how it looks at night. That looks freaking phenomenal. If that's what it looks like on a rendering of concept art, I can imagine what this is going to look like in person. And then a lot of people say, well, it's just a piece of concept art, trust me, this is going to go into Tokyo Disney. Like,
Oh, it'll be good.
It's
Yeah,
going to
it'll be
look,
good.
if not better than what the concept art.
And that's
like.
what kind of frustrates me with the fandom here is that we could never do this. The fandom would be up in arms over bulldozing Space Mountain and rebuilding it like this. Because it's like everything is like a museum, you know what I'm saying? Like it's like, come on, let's get a little bit of that fun factor back into this. Let's explore a little bit. Like I'm not saying that like you got to like go crazy with that, but I think they're making a smart decision here, modernizing this attraction. This looks super dope. It's enough. It's similar enough where you're paying almost like an homage, a kind of a hat tip to the old design, but it's different enough where it's fresh. I don't know, man. I absolutely love it. But what do you thoughts?
Really quick, and really quick, and I would welcome a change even to the exterior of both Space Mountains at Disneyland and Walt Disney World, because they both have a very iconic look, but a very dated look to them. Yeah. And I think this would be a nice breath of fresh air or something similar to it. This
kind of looks like, I believe it was John Hench who did some artwork, some concept arts for Space Mountain, and it kind of reminiscent of some of the stuff he did. It's Space Mountain. You can definitely tell it's, but it's like a version that was never built kind of vibe, right? I don't know. I dig it. What do you think, Eva?
Yeah, so I was going to say, leave it to Tokyo to build something that looks Tomorrowlandish. And also to Tokyo, from what I heard, they're very clean. And of course, it costs a art. That's going to be dirty, but I guarantee this park is going to be like absolutely spotless, so you can eat off it. The colors are absolutely amazing. But let me just say, I love the Space Mountain design. If we had something like that, I'd be all for it. Because, and to George's point, I don't think they're going to do anything. Maybe they might, but I don't think they're going to, just because they've already redone the lighting for like the nighttime effects on the show building. And even like when we went on it, they already added like a couple new projections inside the attraction. So I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. But you never know, because I know with Hyperspace Mountain, it's when they first had it, it took them a while to like get to change over like the different projections, but now they can do it like this. So I'm curious as to, because of the new name, Space Mountain Earthrise, are they going to have like practical stuff in the attraction?
I hope so.
Oh man, that'd be awesome.
Or if they do, are they going to have like like amazing Japan technology of like projection mapping? I know that they're going to.
I'm sure.
So I'm just really curious because the name Earthrise, like because I know it's Space Mountain, but when you have the word Earth in there, I'm wondering if there's going to be kind of some type of Earth like planetary stuff happening inside.
It could be like maybe you circle around and you see planet Earth below you or something
Dude, that'd be
crazy.
insane. Oh man.
You know, there's potential there. There's potential there, and Japan's gonna do it. They're gonna do it. They're gonna make this thing so incredible.
Oh
They're gonna
yeah.
make us all so jealous. Watch, you'll see.
I already am
Just,
jealous.
just another reason to take a trip over.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. No, we're gonna go over there and you know, maybe in a few years.
In a few years, I was just going to ask you. Now, I thought they said it was going to be done in 2028, but I thought it was a recent article. It said 2027.
Oh, that's even close. Oh.
Yeah, this says 2027. This is from
Okay.
Boardwalk Times, 2027.
Well,
So
you know what? Fantasy Springs will already be open and fleshed out. That's I don't know. What do you think, fellas? 2027?
yeah,
I
let's
would.
do it.
Yeah, dude. I'm hyped, dude. Just to see Japan, it would blow my mind.
Oh well, that's another
know?
thing too. Like I was telling OG, like if we're gonna go over there, we're gonna do Tokyo Disney, but I want to see the culture of Japan.
Yeah.
I want to see the land. I want to see the layout. I want to see a lot of stuff. You know, just
Stuff is the key word there.
it would be absolutely amazing. Yeah, exactly. If I go over there, it's not just for the parks. You know what I'm saying? I'm going there for like explore the city, all that stuff.
And I also want to check out Universal Japan
Oh.
because I believe, do not quote me, I think they're the ones that they're the only Universal park on the planet that still has the classic Jaws.
See.
Do they have
I'm
Back to
down.
the Future as well, or no?
Oh, I don't know.
That I'm not sure. I don't know if they have Back to the Future, but I believe they have several of the classic Universals. Jaws was one of them. I'm not 100% sure on Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Oh,
if they did, oh my gosh.
Oh, geez. And they probably do. It's Japan. They probably do. They probably have a great ass fucking Back to the Future ride. I don't know. I'm just saying because it seems like all the parks in Japan are better, even the Universal ones. You know.
Yeah. Well, I'm telling you, like it's the culture. You know, they maintain that high quality standard, and I think that's something in the U.S. Regardless of whether it's Universal or Disney. Here in the U.S., it's kind of it's lacking.
Yeah.
But
Big time. Gentlemen, fantastic conversation with our little news roundup. Space Mountain, we got Mando coaster, possible Spider-Man coaster coming to Shanghai. Barbara Boza, who we do wish well. We wish her all the success in whatever endeavors, going forward. It's she was in there for such a short amount of time. Like I said, I don't really have a lot of passion one way or the other with her. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of, but we do wish her well. And a lot of stuff we touched upon today. But George, if you can kind of let everybody at home know where they can find you on social media.
Absolutely. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You could also find me on Instagram under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you'll find me here on my home base at Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
There it is. Go follow Mr. Sticky Icky. And down below we got our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, Mr. Michael Webba in the house. Mr. Ebba, if you could let everybody at home know where they could find you on social media, sir.
Absolutely. You can find me on Instagram at Michael Ebba, and then you can find me on Twitter /X at Michael Ebba 1991, and you can find me here on OG 55, where I am talking shop with theme park studios. Everything else that's nerdy is right here. Come check us out.
Yeah, check us out.
Yes.
I love your outros, man. I love your outros. It's super smooth, super easy.
Even from the get-go, like even when he started coming on the channel, he just like slipped on a glove.
But you're a natural dude, and you have the personality, like you have, like and you're comfortable too. Like you just get on there and you just do your thing, like out the gate. I think your first one was on Bad Thoughts, right?
Yes, my very first video was with Bad Thoughts. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was like hit the ground running with those guys. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but thank you though. I appreciate it very much, guys.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Absolutely.
We love having you on. We love talking shop with you. Like I said, you make it look super easy. There There we go. I had to get one in before we close it out. Thank you all so
No
much.
pun intended.
There we go. Exactly. Woo. Thank you all.
세상은 누구에게나 공평하게 추악해. 개틀 것 같아.